You know what I find really funny, guys? Ronda Rousey clowns on Floyd Mayweather. She basically says, "Hey Floyd, now you know who I am," because she won the Athlete of the Year over Floyd Mayweather. That's funny now. I think Floyd Mayweather needs to step up and go, okay, these MMA fighters are actually real athletes. Because Floyd Mayweather for the longest time used to say, well, they're just tattooed bums who go out there for like 3 minutes and swing for the fences and do street fighting. Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another MMA Breakdown podcast. In today's podcast, we're talking about everybody saying Frank Mir is back, and Frank Mir should now be fighting a top guy like Cain Velasquez or Junior DeSantis. I really don't think he's ready for those guys. I really don't think he is back. All I do know is he is on a 2-fight knockout streak, knocking out Bigfoot Silva and knocking out Todd Duffy. Todd Duffy came in there swinging wildly and got caught and clipped. Frank Mir is a decently good boxer with very good jiu-jitsu, but I don't think he should be fighting someone that good yet, because I'll just see at this point in time in the game, he's just going to get hurt. He ain't as great as he once was, and all he's done is lose in the last 4 fights. He got 4-fight losing streak, and he really looked like he wasn't motivated, his mind wasn't right, and now you see what he done, knocking out Todd Duffy and Bigfoot Silva. This dude is a beast. I've always said it. He's one of my favorite fighters, one of the great heavyweights. He just is one of those dudes who has talent but doesn't put it in to the hard work. It's the same thing with BJ Penn. He had talent, but he doesn't hard work. That's the same thing with Frank Mir. He uses talent over hard work. Hard work and determination will always beat somebody who has great talent. That's the truth. He's a great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's a decently good boxer. He has shitty takedowns, and 9 times out of 10, if it doesn't go, if he doesn't win after the first round, the fight is done for him, because he usually gasses out. He needs to be training with somebody who's going to push the shit out of him. He needs to train with somebody who's going to give him good wrestling so he can take fighters down and use his jiu-jitsu and not just try to stand and bang. But Frank Mir did what he did last night, and boom, baby, he knocked out Todd Duffy. And me personally, UFC 189, oh my god, where do you start with UFC 189? You had top to bottom, everybody's talking about the start of the night with Matt Brown doing what he did. Matt Brown is a beast, and he's just dominating, man, with that submission. And usually you see a lot of guys who are crazy fighters, like Matt Brown is always in slugfest, always wildly swinging, but he is a dude that is going to remain in the top 10 at welterweight. He's just one of those dudes that is always going to be around. But you see what he did. UFC 189 was one of those monumental events, I think. I think it was one of those events that come around once in a lifetime, you know. You have, like, the Frank Mir fight card. No one cared about that fight card. It was like, here's my thing. A lot of people say if you're watching a fight card and you're really not invested in the fighters, or you really don't know who the fighters are, the fight card really doesn't make sense, so you don't really watch it. I think UFC should put on more fights like they did at UFC 189, UFC 100. Those are the type of fight cards that people really want to see, because it's all top to bottom, top fighters. It's not fighters that people don't know. It's all top level competition. And when you have like these little fight night cards, it's always these fighters that no one really knows, and it's a lower class MMA. If you take 189, for example, and you put it up against a Frank Mir card, it's a night and day difference. And you've seen Holmes do what she did. I really still, to this day, don't think she's ready for Ronda Rousey, and I don't think she can handle Ronda Rousey's pressure. She loves to stay on the outside and use her distance and use her boxing. And yeah, she's a decently good boxer, probably one of the best boxers for the women's division, but there's no way her boxing is good as Chek or whatever, the 115-pound women's champion. There's a night and day difference in boxing style. That girl's aggressive, and you look at Holly Holmes, her fighting style is not that aggressive. She's one of those fighters that stays on the outside and doesn't really get beat up. But a lot of people are like, you're the next good lady that should be fighting Ronda Rousey. And she's even saying, like, I'm not ready for Rousey. And Rousey is an aggressive girl that's going to take her down and annihilate her. No one's talking about this fight card, ladies and gentlemen. No one's going crazy like, did you see the Holly Holmes fight last night? Nobody is, because Holly Holmes is not a big draw. She might have been maybe undefeated, maybe won by a couple knockouts here and there. Maybe she was in Invicta doing a lot of damage over there, but now she's fighting top-level competition in the UFC. She's really not impressing me. Like, she's one of those fighters that is on the boring side. She's not doing anything fun, exciting. She goes like this, and then throws a kick, and that's not fun and exciting. A lot of people want to see the ground game, and I think she's going to get exposed when she fights like a Sarah Kaufman, a Miesha Tate, someone who can take her down and actually ground and pound her and actually put her in a compromising position. She's one of those chicks that use her long reach, and I think once she gets to the ground, she's going to be like a fish out of water. That's just my personal opinion, because we've never seen her fight where she gets pressure, where she has to do a wall walk on the cage, where she has to do anything. Even the chick that she was fighting tried to pull guard, but really wasn't able to. But at the end of the day, Holly Holmes is a decently good striker. She's nowhere near the level of the 115-pound champion, and Ronda Rousey, I think, will light her up and win. I wouldn't count Ronda Rousey out of most of these fights just because how aggressive she is. You got to be aggressive in this game and come forward. That's why I think Conor McGregor is winning so many fights. He has long reach and he's very aggressive when his approach. When you're not an aggressive fighter and you stay on the outside and you throw pitter-patter punches that are not really doing anything, or you're timid, you're really going to get beat up. Because you look at the lady that she was fighting, she kept doing this all night. Like, she wanted to throw the punch, but she never really fired her shot. She's probably going to go back in the drawing board and go, well, I kind of froze up. And you can't freeze up. You have to train. You have to fight the way you train. If you're in the training camp and you're training your ass off and you're whooping ass in your gym, you got to make that happen when you're in the cage. You can't just sit back and go, well, I want to, and you're just like doing that. That's not going to work. That really is not going to get you anywhere. And there is a possible chance that Fedor Emelianenko might return to MMA. It says in an article that he has a very strong itch for the game and he wants to come back. I don't know if at this point in the game, for being out so long, if he really should have come back. A lot of people are like, well, you should come back and fight Brock. No one wants to see that. I mean, Brock Lesnar is not going to come back to MMA. Even if Fedor comes back, he's not going to go to the UFC. He's probably going to go to Bellator and probably win a couple fights or maybe lose, and then that's it. I mean, what's next for Fedor? He's won every championship in every organization. He's 30, he's 38 years old, and he has an MMA record of like 34-4 or something like that. And he's the most dominant heavyweight in UFC, in MMA history. He's done everything you possibly can do. I mean, what's next for him? To win the UFC title? I mean, some people say he can't even hang with the UFC fighters. That's why he never went to the UFC. But me personally, would I want to see him back in the ring? I don't know. I mean, he's a good fighter in the ring, but when it comes to the cage fights, he's not all that great. But will Fedor return? That's just me personally, that's just someone saying something. It's like a rumor, but maybe it's true. He will be coming back. And when everybody's talking about Ronda Rousey versus Betch Kohea, yeah, she's a 9-0 champion, or 9-0 undefeated fighter with 0 submissions. 80% of her fights go to a decision, so most of her fights are going to a decision, ladies and gentlemen. She only has 22% knockout, and you look at Ronda Rousey, she has 80% of her fights by submission, and I see this fight being the same thing. She's going to be able to take her down and beat her. The way to beat Ronda Rousey, like I've always said, you have to stay on the outside, and you cannot rush her. You cannot rush her. You see what happens when fighters rush her. She slams them to the ground like it's nobody's business. Even if you're a great wrestler or you're a great whatever, you're not going to be prepared for Ronda Rousey's jiu-jitsu and her judo. Her judo game is so crazy. She's been doing judo since she was a baby. So the bottom line is, it's just like common sense to her. You walk up to her, she slams you. It's as easy as that. And then you're going to have Nogueira versus Shogun. And Shogun, really, I don't know, man. These two guys shouldn't be even fighting anymore. I think Shogun is past his prime, and I think Nogueira's past his prime. These guys will never be champions. I don't want to say they're washed up, but it kind of comes down to that's what's happening. These fighters are still wanting to fight, even though they're getting up in age, like 36, 37, 38. And there's a time where you need to stop, because you don't want to just see these guys keep getting knocked out over and over and over. And that's just how I see it. And you got Nogueira's older brother versus Stefan Struve. And Stefan Struve has not looked that great as of late. He's a great jiu-jitsu artist. He doesn't use his length that great. If he knew how to use his length, then he could probably do a lot better in MMA, but he just doesn't use it. And I think Nogueira's going to win this fight. And if Nogueira wins this fight, dude, Stefan needs to stop fighting, man. I mean, he's just been getting hurt. And I think a lot of these guys have just been getting hurt after hurt after hurt. But they're like, well, I'm going to still come back. Like I said, some of these fights are okay. It just comes down to this fight card isn't really packed and stacked like some of the fight cards that we have seen recently. Just like this is going to be a phenomenal fight. And I think it's going to be a great fight. You have Roy Nelson versus Josh Barnett. That's going to be a great fight. I know Josh Barnett is a very heavy-handed striker, a really good catch wrestler. He can take you down and submit you anytime he wants. And Roy Nelson, if you guys don't know, has submitted Frank Mir in a jiu-jitsu competition. And Frank Mir is a great jiu-jitsu guy, but Roy Nelson just likes to hang and bang. And I think Roy Nelson possibly could make light heavyweight, to be honest with you, because he's so fat. He could lose enough weight to get down there and have devastating knockout power and be able to brutally win that title. But he just doesn't want to lose the weight. He wants to walk around kind of fat. Me personally, I'd rather be ripped or better shape than that. But he is 11 losses and 21 wins with 67% by knockout. And Josh Barnett is more victories by submission. So you take it in consideration, who do you guys want to win this fight? Me personally, I think Josh Barnett will probably win just by overall technique and be able to take it down. But if Roy Nelson wins, it's probably going to be by a devastating knockout. These guys are not known for going to the judges' scorecard, and that's the way it should be. I think you guys, when you're out there fighting, you should just put everything on the line. If you lose, you lose. You just go out, and that's how you fight. But at the end of the day, this has been another MMA Breakdown podcast. If you guys want to see more podcasts like this, cool. You can go to Spreaker.com and look up the MMA Fight Club, and that's where I do all my podcasts over there. And I will definitely see you guys in the next podcast coming very, very, very soon. I'm Trevor. Hit the like button, subscribe button, go bananas, hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Make it like 50,000 thumbs up. I'm just being serious, guys. You wanna see more videos, higher quality. You gotta sum this shit up so I could be more motivated to make more stuff for you guys. The return of Fedor Emelianenko.